Hello everyone and welcome to another video. I apologize if I sound a little hoarse or if I look a little bit like death. I've been super sick for like the last week or two, which is why I haven't uploaded any videos lately. So if you guys could all just kind of bear with me. I know I look and sound horrible, but I really wanted to get this video done because it pertains to the new year, and the new year has already passed and we're slowly working our way towards February, so I kind of had to get it done even though I'm sick. So anyways, now that that is out of the way, today I'm going to be doing my top books of 2015. Normally I do like top 14 of 2014, top 15 of 2015, but this year I kind of sat down and looked and I didn't really have a top 15. Like, it wasn't a bad year of reading. I read a lot of really good books. I just didn't read a lot of really amazing books. So instead of top 15, I decided to just do my top 10. And just as a disclaimer, these books are in absolutely no particular order. I'm just going to kind of show them to you as I grab them out of the pile. So the first book on my list is Uprooted by Naomi Novik. And this book I actually read right at the end of this year because I got it for Christmas and I hadn't read it before. I just kept putting it off, or I didn't buy it or whatever. And this book was absolutely amazing. I'm really mad that I put it off. I really loved it more than I thought I would. This is my first book by her and I was so impressed. I thought it was absolutely amazing. The next book on my list is Vision in Silver by Anne Bishop. This is the third book in the Others trilogy. I love this series. I really love this series. It is one of my favorites right now. It is really great. It's a really good like urban fantasy, and it's pretty intense. This is a pretty intense, gritty, kind of slower series, but it is so good and I love it, and it's very realistic, I feel, as to what would happen if the world knew that there were supernatural creatures like vampires and werewolves and things like that, and I really love it. It's really great and kind of dark, and I love it. And so the third book was just as amazing as the previous two, and I'm really excited for the next book to come out this year. Okay, so the next thing on my list is Falling Kingdoms by Morgan Rhodes, and I'm actually going to include the whole series because I read the whole series this year. I hadn't read it up until this point, which was my horrible, sad mistake. This book series is amazing. Like, so amazing. It's kind of almost like a less complicated, more young adult Game of Thrones. But it's very similar in the way that it's got multiple points of views, multiple places, multiple plot lines, but they all kind of tie in together somehow. There's tons of death, there's tons of like mystery, there's tons of betrayal and backstabbing, and it's so good. This series is absolutely awesome, and I'm so happy I started it this year. Next on my list is actually a graphic novel series that I started this year, and that is Saga by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. I've been trying to get into graphic novels a lot more, and this graphic novel series is absolutely amazing. Sorry for the glare on that. There. It is everything I could have asked for. It is definitely very adulty. Tons of violence and sex and lots of adult themes. But it is so awesome. If you are not offended by any of those things, you should read this. It's like a sci-fi love story, but dark, and it has so many interesting characters, and the art is absolutely amazing, and I love it. Next on my list is probably the one that I was most surprised by, and that is Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. The reason I was really surprised by this was I didn't love her other series, the Grisha trilogy. I liked it, but I didn't love it. So I took a gamble and I pre-ordered this one, and oh my gosh. In my opinion, this first book is a million times better than the whole Grisha trilogy. I mean, it was so good and so intriguing and so many good characters and such a good storyline. And it's set in the same world, but so much better. So much better. So good. And the sequel is one of my most anticipated books of this year, and it was so good. Next on my list is the end to a wonderful series with Winter by Marissa Meyer. I actually went to the launch party for Winter, and it was so much fun. It was the Lunar Ball. It was awesome. It was tons of fun. And I was so sad to finally read Winter because I love this series, and this series kind of got me back into reading a couple years ago when I was in a slump. And it was so good. It was really good. It was a really good wrap-up. I mean, I had a few problems with things, but at the end of a series, that's always inevitable. I feel there's always going to be something you're not satisfied with. Overall, though, I really loved this book. I thought it was great, and I'm really excited to read Stars Above, the collection of, you know, like short stories and stuff that she's releasing. And I felt that it was a very strong conclusion to a really amazing series. Next on my list is one I'm sure you guys all knew was going to be on here, Queen of Shadows by Sarah J. Maas. I love this series. I feel like I don't even need to explain myself, but this is like my favorite series right now, and I know a lot of people had a problem with this new book. I had a few problems with it, but I still loved it. A lot of people didn't like some of the directions she went, and initially I was really distraught by a few things that happened, but when I thought about it and actually read the book, like without being crazy, like focusing on all of the things that I didn't like, it was still a really strong book in this series, and the series isn't over. I mean, it still had everything I love, and in a series like this, tough decisions are gonna have to be made. And I don't think it's fair to hate on the author for her making decisions that you don't like. It's not your book series, you know, you're not the one writing it. She made decisions that she felt were best, and whether they worked or not is up to you, but she's gonna have to make some decisions and do some things. Okay, I'm ranting. Point is I got a lot of the things she did. I liked a lot of the things she did. There were a few that I was on the fence about, but once I went back through and reread and accepted this as part of the series, I loved it. It was another really great book by her, so I'm excited to see where the next one goes. And I, of course, have to include another book by Sarah J. Maas, so A Court of Thorns and Roses. This is her more adulty series she's doing right now. While I don't love it as much as the Throne of Glass series, I still absolutely love it. It's got, like, everything I like about her writing. Great characters, great plot, awesome romance, wonderful fantasy elements. I mean, this is so great, and I do enjoy the more adult themes. Believe it or not, I am an adult, so even though I do love young adult books, I still can appreciate reading more adulty books occasionally. But either way, I loved this book. I thought it was really good, and it was nice to get something from Sarah J. Maas that was different than Throne of Glass, because I love her, and I think she's a great writer, so it was really nice to try something else by her, and I thought she did really great. The next book on my list is The Wrath and the Dawn by Renee Ondy. Yeah, I don't know. I actually didn't really know much about this book when I got it. I believe a friend of mine got it for me for my birthday. I read it, and I loved it. Initially, I was drawn in by the beautiful cover, and then I was intrigued by the story because it had a bit more diversity than I usually read about, which shames me to no end. And I was intrigued by all the, you know, fantasy stuff and a tale of revenge. How could I possibly resist a tale of revenge? And this book really delivered. It didn't have quite as much revenge-y stuff as I had liked, but it delivered in a lot of different ways that I was not expecting. So I really like this one. I actually just pre-ordered the sequel to it, even though it doesn't come out for a while. Okay, and the last book on my list is A Darker Shade of Magic by V.E. Schwab. I think this year was kind of my year for her. I don't think I read any of her stuff before this year, and this one was absolutely amazing. I'm so excited for the next book, and I loved everything about this. I love parallel universes, so this book has a couple different, like, parallel different Londons. Oh, it was so cool, and I love how she writes, and I love her characters, and just everything about this book really appealed to me. I absolutely loved it. It was so fantastic. Alright everyone, so there are my favorite books of 2015. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I can hear my voice getting worse and worse. Anyways, what were your guys' favorite books of this year? Were they some that I showed? Were they some that I didn't show? Please feel free and comment below and let me know all about your year of reading in 2015. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Hopefully when I'm not sick.